Hey, SEC stuff. I'm Sierra alongside Emma, and today we're talking about the LSU Tigers and their football season. LSU finished 9-4 last year, have their starting quarterback back in Garrett Nussmeier. But Emma, what do you see from this LSU team? They've struggled throughout the season last year. They didn't meet those expectations what they want. And Brian Kelly is on his fourth year now, and fans aren't really satisfied.
I know everyone's like he can't win in these big moments. He keeps stumbling late. Never wins that first game of the season. It's very interesting because he was so good at Notre Dame. They want to replicate success that he's had. So this is by far the most talented roster he has had at LSU with the number one transfer class and a top 10 recruiting class. The expanded 12-team CFP gives him more margin, but anything less than 10 wins is going to cost him his job. So the opener against Clemson is really going to set the tone for this season. He does have a slight difficult stretch in the middle there, but I don't think that this schedule that they have is anywhere is super hard. There's lots of places in the schedule to really reset. So I do think that they have a very favorable schedule to get to those 10 wins, but we will see.
In order for LSU to get to that 10-win season at least, they've got to fix those fundamentals. When I say that, I mean they've got to run the football. They were the worst in the SEC last year when it came to rushing yards, and we saw also just they could not get that ground game going. And that is so important in a conference that is just based off of speed. And so I'm excited and interested to see how the offense improves in that standpoint. I'm also interested to see how Garrett Nussmeier does in that fifth year because we know these LSU quarterbacks, regardless of who the coach is, that fifth year is something special for those Tigers. We saw it with Joe Burrow, we saw it with Jaden Daniels, and maybe we'll get to see it with Garrett Nussmeier. But I would like to see Nussmeier be a little bit more mobile this year. Uh, Brian Kelly said in one of his press conferences that he was running about 21 miles an hour, so around like a 4.5 40. So Garrett Nussmeier has those wheels, and I'd really like to see him utilize it more.
Yeah, and I mean, quarterbacks at LSU, like you've talked about, have just been incredible, especially moving into the NFL. Of course, you have Burrow with ice in his veins, Jaden Daniels making a big impact his rookie year, being rookie of the year with the Commanders. So he is supposedly one of the most NFL ready QBs in the SEC. The roster is built to support him. If he limits turnovers, LSU will contend deep into November to get to the playoffs, to get to the SEC championship. He has a great arm. He has pocket creativity. He is tough. He played through that injury versus Oklahoma, still produced three touchdowns. So he is a great player, but he needs a supporting cast around him to really get things done. And the biggest question mark for me is that defense, because it has to improve. LSU really revamped the defensive front with key additions in the portal, but 2024, the defense really struggled, especially against mobile quarterbacks and in late game situations like in Texas A&M game. So if they contain guys like Lenore Sellers and Marcel Reed, they'll be in every single game. But this unit remains the biggest unknown for everyone right now is to see how high their ceiling can be and see how many games they could actually win.
Absolutely. And the defense is bad, like you said, especially that run defense and how LSU plays against those mobile quarterbacks. We saw last year when Alabama played at LSU and what Bama quarterback Jalen Miller was able to do with his legs. And he just ran over all over the Tigers in Baton Rouge. And you just cannot have that happening. Florida was also another team where Florida they struggled to defend the run. And also just it's something that you've got to fix with this team. But I am interested to see how this team works with those players out of the portal, like you mentioned, Jack Piber and the defensive lineman from Florida. Also, LSU is coming back with some injuries as well. Harold Perkins, the star linebacker, had an ACL tear and he'll be back this year, which is something that LSU fans are extremely excited about. So I'm interested to see how he does. And now for the offensive side, LSU did have some transfers there as well. They had Nic Anderson and Bauer Sharp, both from Oklahoma. They also had the best wide receiver from Kentucky to come over in Barry and Brown. And so that's going to be really interesting to see those guys play because they have that SEC experience and it's it's gonna I feel like it'll be a smooth transition because Garrett Nussmeier has those weapons he can utilize. He also another player also, Jelani Watkins, who is on the LSU track team. He got SEC Freshman of the Week, and he's a Louisiana native. He's a wide receiver, and I think that that should be fun to see a guy like that play on your team too.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna see if they can really show up, especially in week one. LSU has lost 5 straight season openers, and this year it's at Clemson, a likely top 10 showdown. The Tigers are have invested in depth. They're very physical, and the leadership this offseason is has been incredible for that team. So a win in Death Valley East would be massive for LSU, setting the stage for what they can be moving forward this year. So that is also a big question mark is can you win your season opener because it's been a minute.
Yeah. And that is something that lots of fans, I feel, are very hard on Brian Kelly for winning the season opener because, yes, it's important. It sets the tone for your season. But LSU, those past 4 years, has not played a cupcake season opening game. They're playing Clemson this year. They've played in those years, they played FSU, UCLA, USC, and those are great games as fans to watch, but as LSU fans, we're like, come on, we've got to beat these guys. And so I get it. If they lose to Clemson, I don't think LSU is out of the college football playoff, but it's something that you definitely want to have in your back pocket to make your case to go to the playoff. So I think that should be a really fun game in the other Death Valley. We'll see who gets to call themselves the real Death Valley here. But I have LSU winning this game. What about you, Emma?
I do too. I am really loving Nussmeier. I do think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. This is going to be a very, very difficult game, but this win would set up LSU as an SEC champion contender and a CFP contender. So I'm excited to see this team as a whole, also what Clemson can be. So this is going to be a big eye-opening moment for both of these teams and what they can do this season. Granted, LSU's ride in their schedule is a little bit harder than Clemson. I think Clemson's making the playoffs regardless, but LSU, this would be a huge momentum builder for them.
Yes, I think so too. And then after that, they play Louisiana Tech at home. So that's the home opener for the Tigers and a great tune up game for them. And I think LSU's taking this one pretty easily.
Oh yeah, it's a W.
Then afterwards is the real SEC's play starts, and they play Florida. And this one is at home. And Florida and LSU is always just a fun, intense rivalry to watch. There's always some crazy storyline behind it. And I actually have LSU winning this game. I'm so sorry, Gator fans, but I'll cover
Yeah,
it.
hide it, hide it, hide it. I have LSU winning this game as well. LSU needs to pressure DJ Lagway very early, so this is going to be a big test for the defense. But it's Saturday night, Death Valley atmosphere. It's really hard to beat them there. They just create such an environment for the other team to lose, and they do it well. But I do believe in LSU here.
Yes, I believe in LSU in this one as well. And I am just concerned on how DJ Lagway will do here. This will be his first full game as a starter in the SEC on the road. And that's a lot to ask for someone who's 19 years old. And not only that, I'm not sure about his experience. And trust me, I am the biggest DJ Lagway cheerleader there is. But he was in a boot last week at practice, and then he had that shoulder injury during spring ball, and then Florida's had a bunch of transfers as well. And I'm just kind of worried on how that chemistry will flow amongst the Gators when they play at LSU. And is it enough time for them to adjust? I'm not really sure. And with them me not being really sure, I have LSU winning this game. And then afterwards, LSU has another easier game, Southeastern Louisiana, which I think the Tigers will take easily.
Yeah, and again, you go from hard game to, like, little tune-up, hard game to tune-up, so it's such a nice schedule because you get these reset moments. Of course, this will be a win for LSU, a great opportunity to test younger players, like the Weeks brothers. on the team. So I think this is a good game for them leading in to playing at Ole Miss. I do this think this game is a little dangerous of what it would be, but I am picking LSU to win. They just got to keep their head screwed on straight, stay focused, and they will win.
Yeah, possibly night game at Vaught Hemingway. I have LSU actually winning this one because I don't see enough with Ole Miss just yet, but that could possibly change. And I think LSU is going to fix the problems that they had last year. And that was the run game. And this game last year went to overtime in Baton Rouge. And LSU just couldn't run the football. That was one of their worst rushing games they had, maybe next to their game against Nicholls State last year, which they could not run the ball, which is a whole other topic because you can't do that to a team at that caliber. But with Ole Miss, I think that the Rebels will put up a fight, but I think the Tigers will come out alive and get their first SEC road win.
Yeah, and then next we'd have South Carolina. I am predicting this as an LSU win, but I love Lenora Sellers, and I think him and Shane Beamer is a deadly combination. Anything can happen. So I think this could go either way, but I am predicting LSU to win here.
I have South Carolina winning this one here because Lenora Sellers is a fun guy to watch. And just based off last year, I know I just said that LSU will fix their problems and whatnot, but they're not. Ole Miss doesn't have a quarterback like Lenora Sellers.
Yeah.
Like that's at South Carolina right now, and that is a quarterback that I think can see LSU struggling to contain. He has another year with Shane Beamer under his belt. He's a lot more confident, and that is the one road game that I think that they could drop off, or rather home game that they could drop off. And yes, there's so many, like LSU has an incredible game time environment. We know this, but it's the SEC and anything can happen, and I just don't see them winning every single home game. So I am picking South Carolina here.
I like it. And then we're going to Vanderbilt. I'm calling this one a win. Diego Pavia is obviously back, but I just don't think that Vanderbilt is going to be as shocking as they were last year, catching a lot of people off guard. So I'm picking LSU to win this one.
Yes, me too. I think people are a lot more prepared for Vanderbilt this year because they know what Diego Pavia can do. And also, it's in Nashville, and Vanderbilt's always really interesting because whenever they're playing another SEC opponent, especially a high caliber one, it's kind of like another home game for them. So I expect LSU fans to go out full force in Nashville watching this one. So it's going to be kind of like another home game for the Tigers in a way. But hey, we saw Alabama had that huge crowd when they played Vanderbilt last year and they lost, but I don't think that that's going to happen again. So I'm going to have the Tigers here winning against Vanderbilt. But up next, we have Texas A&M, and this one is in Baton Rouge. So LSU has a pretty good home schedule. So I think that is really beneficial towards them. But going against possibly Marcel Reed, I again like there's still questions about that. So I just don't not really sure about this Texas A&M team. And I feel like if there was more kind of there's just not enough talk about them. I know that sounds silly to like maybe hear what others are saying about it, but it's true. It's the hype and I just don't feel it around this A&M team. So I have LSU winning here.
Yeah, with like you were saying, with the hype behind it all, they're kind of like middle of the pack. Like you have hype around Alabama and Florida and South Carolina, Texas, Georgia, obviously, LSU, and I just don't hear it as much from Texas A&M. Maybe they come out and shock everybody and go undefeated throughout the season, and that would be amazing. But yeah, I just don't see it here. I'm picking this as an LSU win. I mean, 2024's loss sparked their downward spiral. I don't think they'll let that happen again. Nussmeier needs this game. This is the game last year where he had a ton of turnovers, which hurt his team. So the mistakes will be cleaned up. I think this is going to be a good game for them. Then they get their bye week, and then they go at Alabama. Alabama, I think, is going to be a different beast than they were this past year. Alabama is now in the Kalen DeBoer system. The offense is absolutely elite. The defense is absolutely elite. The question I have for Alabama is that quarterback position. Ty Simpson, things are good. Like all the talk we're hearing about him is really great. Now he needs to show up on the day and prove it. But I am picking this as LSU's first loss.
Yes, I have LSU losing this one as well. Coming off of a bye week, great. You're all refreshed. Oh, but then you have to play at Alabama at night. That's gonna be a tough one for the Tigers, I think, and Ty Simpson, it's looking like he's gonna be the guy, but we're not really sure, but Alabama always comes to play, and, I mean, so does LSU for the most part, but I see this as an Alabama win here.
Yeah, they would have to play absolutely perfect, and get a turnover or 2 to win this game. I think this is going to be an Alabama win, LSU loss, but then you play Arkansas. I am predicting this as a win. This is the last SEC home game that they have. Arkansas is rebuilding around Taylor Green. I just don't see it yet for them.
Yes, I have LSU winning this one, and Arkansas does take this game very seriously. Of course, every SEC team takes every game seriously, but this one means a lot for Arkansas because if you ask Arkansas fans who their rival is, a lot of them are going to say LSU. LSU or Texas are the main rivals for the Arkansas Razorbacks because there's not another Power 4 team in the state. And so I say that because this game just means so much to Arkansas. They win the trophy. It's the battle for the Golden Boot trophy game. And crazy things have happened in this matchup. Last year was kind of a blowout on the Arkansas side. But I think that again, Taylon Green, that he has some new weapons there, but we just don't know enough because they really had to hit the portal with Arkansas. LSU had the portal too, but they just seemed a lot more polished. And so I'm going to have LSU win this one. And then up next, they have a home game against Western Kentucky. And that should be an interesting one with Jaden Rashada, the former Georgia quarterback, playing for Western Kentucky now. But I think that LSU will take this.
Yeah, it's senior day. This is gonna be a blowout. It's one of those easy games right before you go into rivalry weekend, which is at Oklahoma. This is a high stakes matchup in Norman. LSU brings former Sooners Nic Anderson and Sharp are both going to be playing for them this year. So this is going to be an interesting game. How do you feel about this rivalry game?
Yeah, it's always really funny seeing former players now on a current team, but they're playing at their former team, and you always hear them say, "Oh, it's no big deal," but you've gotta feel some type of way with it, and also this Oklahoma-LSU game being played on rivalry weekend is just so funny to me because it's like, there really is no rivalry between LSU and Oklahoma. They were kinda just set up in, like, arranged marriage or something where they play during rivalry week. But I feel like LSU and Oklahoma will eventually start to adapt this rivalry. But I'm sure OSU fans do miss playing Oklahoma State, or rather, Oklahoma fans do miss playing Oklahoma State during this matchup. But the Sooners have a tough schedule, and LSU playing being your last game of the regular season does not help your case there. So this will be a real tough one for OU, even though it's at home. But again, anything can happen when OU comes. They come ready, and we saw last year they upset Alabama, and this was not a good Oklahoma team. But then again, Bama kind of beat themselves in that matchup last year. So I am having LSU win this one. I just think they have all the weapons and are going to be clicking and in a real nice momentum when it comes to the end of the season for them.
Yeah, I think if, like you said, everything's clicking, they've grown all season long. This is going to be a relatively manageable, I don't want to say easy win, but a manageable win for LSU here. So I am actually putting them at 11-1 at the end of the season. I've only done that with a couple teams now. So I think they will be on SEC championship going to that bubble watch with a couple other teams. So I think this is going to be a very dynamic team from LSU. Will save Brian Kelly's job for sure. But I'm really excited about this team.
I have them at 10-2, but I believe that a 10-2 team can make the college football playoff, especially if you're in the SEC, because there's just no comparison. This is the toughest conference in college football. They go to tough environments where everyone bleeds college football and the crowds are insane and the teams are competitive. These are the best players to play the sport in this conference. And I think that LSU can prove that a 10-2 team can go to the college football playoff and possibly make a run. Long gone are the days where you have to remain undefeated and you might not get in the playoff. For example, FSU a few years ago. And
Yeah.
so I think that LSU, and personally, it could actually benefit LSU from not making the SEC championship game if that's the case there. Because if you lose, then it's another loss for you and it might shake up your confidence. And I don't think it'll keep you out the college football playoff, but there's those questions there rather than if you didn't play the championship, you kind of have nothing to really base it off of. So they give you the benefit of the doubt. And then if you win the SEC championship, well, you get that bye, but who knows how they're going to seed you and whatnot. And it's just crazy. And it's a great excuse to kind of sit out and rest, and then you're still in the college football playoff. So I think 10-2 could happen, but again, who knows with this league? Everyone cannibalizes themselves and beats each other up.
So it is really interesting talking about what the committee is going to do. We have no idea. We know that certain things are changing, like the straight seating, but we don't know if the criteria or how the weighted criteria, we don't know if that is changing. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But I do see LSU personally going to the SEC championship. I don't know if they're going to win it. We're going to do an episode later, closer to the start of the season, about who we predict to be in that championship game and who we think will win. So we'll marinate on that a little bit. But I do see great things from this team this year that will save Brian Kelly's job.
Yes, so do I. And it'll be interesting to watch. LSU is always a fun team to watch any year, really. And so I'm excited to see how they'll do. But thank you guys for watching. How do y'all think the Tigers will play this season? Let us know in the comments. But I'm Sierra, that's Emma, and we'll see you guys next time.